Welcome. Once again, I'm here with Lisa de Croix. I'm Joao Caldeira. I'm the founder of the Tarot House of Lisbon. I also do tarot teaching and tarot readings. And the Tarot House has this idea of uh, connecting people, of joining people. And so we are doing this International Tarot Month. It will be in May, and we are counting with Lisa with us here in Lisbon. And she's doing 2 workshops here, and she will also bring her work, some of the cards she's painting. And today we are going here to talk about the Sun card. And so I'm going to ask you, Lisa, how this Sun card came up. How was your inspiration, and what inspired you for this Sun card? That it's really, I must say, it's a very, very intense card. So what inspired you?
Well, when I decide to paint a card, I just pull it from the deck. I don't, decide I'm going to paint the sun and then paint it. I shuffle the deck and draw a card. So it was synchronicity when I pulled this card that I had these giant sunflowers blooming in my garden. It was the middle of summer here in Santa Fe, and it was very appropriate for that time. The Sun card is my birth card. Through numerology, you can figure out which card corresponds to you personally. And this is one that is my birth card. I have 2 others as well, the Wheel of Fortune and the Magician. So when I began to paint this, I actually had the figure standing there just illuminated in, you could see the skin tone. But the power did not. The card did not have the power that I really wanted, and so I was thinking a lot about the meaning of the card, and what it really is growth and exuberance, expansion. It's a very joyful, happy card. It's also about radiating your personal power, and there's some ego involved in this. And because it's my birth card, I painted myself as this figure, and when I looked at it, I thought, sometimes the ego is a little too dominant and almost can cast the shadow. And I was going through a couple of little personal problems with people, maybe because of this. And so I decided to paint that figure silhouetted against the very bright sun to show the wholeness of the human experience, not just our wonderful light that we radiate, but also sometimes that we can really cast a strong shadow as well, and that is part of our humanness, radiating our power, but also perhaps being a little bit too strong in that. I had the figure holding her hands surrounding the sun, and that is reminiscent of Isis, the crown that Isis wears. And as I talked about in one of my other interviews, Isis is my guide in this process of creating my deck.
And as she's holding the sun, do you think that means that we can hold our lives in our hands? Is it possible to hold our lives? Because it feels like that. She's holding her life, and she's holding the power to show, to communicate, to be in contact with the world and with other people. Is that what you're feeling as well?
Yes, I wanted to show that, there is this experience within us of being really expansive and of seeing the world at our fingertips and being able to enclose that within our psyche and to radiate our own personal stories out into the world that helps to motivate and inspire other people. And so that was the idea about holding the sun in the hands. But of course, it's not literal because the sun is really behind, in front of the figure, way off, and she's just the hands are just creating a framework really for that sun.
And the card is actually very, very warm. All the colors here are very warm. And it's interesting you talk about ego, because in this card, what we see about ego is that the person somehow really vanished. It's not only shadow. It's sort of it vanished. It's sort of not there really. It's just holding the sun, maybe for herself, maybe for the others, and it sounds quite different as well from other deck and other decks, and that's, as we talked before, is a sort of a contribute for the understanding of tarot, because in fact each one of us has a sort of a different feeling about each card, and with our feelings and the way we express these feelings, somehow we are showing people different ways, different parts of the secret that each card involves. So somehow I think each deck helps us to understand tarot in a more deeply way, in a more profound way. So we don't just learn tarot reading books or having a good teacher. Actually, that's good as well. But we also learn with each tarot deck. Something is revealed, something important is revealed. Do you have this feeling from your own art and from what you know about other decks? What do you think the importance of these decks are for you?
Yeah, when I paint the card after I've pulled it, I often look at many different decks just to see what people have done. And this card often shows a collaboration. And so I thought about that. And so the image of the woman standing in the garden, that's a collaboration. When we tend our gardens, we're collaborating with nature. And actually in the sunflower, there is if you look at the center of a sunflower closely through a microscope, it follows the Fibonacci sequence, which is the golden mean, which occurs many times in nature. And so I actually painted that in that front sunflower. If you look very carefully, it's not a very tight rendering of the sequence, but there is that spiral that happens. And so I wanted to include some of the knowledge that I gather during my period of thinking about what I'm going to include in the card. And that came to me. Somebody posted something on Facebook maybe about the Fibonacci sequence, and there was the sunflower with this beautiful spiral in it. And so I used that there. But yeah, to answer your question, I think that the image in the decks is very important. I mean, tarot is really it's a visual metaphor for life. And so, looking at other decks is very important to me.
Okay. So Lisa, once again, I would like to ask you a few words about what is more important about this card. What you feel that is the strong message from this card? Just to finish now. Okay.
I think this card is really about perhaps the collaboration of ourselves with nature in general. It's about the ego. It's about radiating our power and at the same time blending into nature and just being part of the whole. The 19 is coming towards the end of the archetypical journey, and so we've gathered a lot of knowledge, and it's time for us to share it with the world, to radiate that out into the world. And it's a card of growth and expansion, and also it's a very happy, joyful card.
Okay. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for all this sharing about your tarot, about your art, and we will talk again about other cards. And thank you very much for being here with us again.
Yeah.
Thank you.